Hi guys, my name is Wendy Matikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about the phone that move around and we are expected to believe other things regarding Yona. Let's stop pretending this case is complicated because it's not. What you are watching is not an investigation. It is a reconstruction after the failure. Remember back in 2014 when they told us a lot of stories, this and that and that and that, and eventually they stood with the intruder story? Yes. Now, when that did not stick because people did not believe it and were like, intruder? No, 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 no. They tried to pin it on Zamo Kuhlembata and it did not stick. And people were like, you guys are lying. And it was bashed and it was trending and it was bashed in Doba. There was an intruder. There was like, no intruder. We don't believe it. And they said there and we're like, how are we going to navigate this? Every year it was always this and that and that. Until the Mayuas were like, you know what? We are sick and tired. It's been 6 years. Right now, that was 2019. We are going to ask AfriForum to assist us. And that's when they started jumping hoops. And they were like, we need something. We need to strengthen that plan. We need to deal with that situation. That is when they started a reconstruction after the failure. That is when they started a reconstruction after the failure. Because when the police finally realized their original story would not survive scrutiny, they didn't correct it. They replaced it with so much that they thought was valuable and will be believable. It will be believable. They did not see it coming, Gesana, where we are. Now, when they created the story, they got the 5 accused men arrested and they went to court. First things first, on the first day of appearance, the 27th of October 2020, we were like, why would we remember? God, I choose number 3 was the one that was like, I'm not getting into no box. I don't know why I'm here. Why am I here? They ended up not entering the box. They were like, no. Yeah, do you guys remember? Fine. Now, here's the problem the state ran into after all of those things. After all the work that they have done, people started scrutinizing and questioning, man, it can't be, not these guys. Who are they again? And then people started bringing Toby Simnube is this and that, Mapisa, Mthokoziseni Mapisa is this and that, Fiso Kuhlentuli is this and that. And guess what? Bheki Cele was the police minister at the time, and he was here, especially when it was about Fiso Kuhlentuli. Fiso Kuhlentuli, the most dangerous man. That's when he lost the plot because people were like, if you are going to include Ntuli and Gada in that scenario, the results are supposed to be like this. They were like, this is the paint that you are this is the brush that you are supposed, this is the red paint, this is the white paint, the black paint, the yay. People were like, this is what umzila ukuhamba ugadla is supposed to look like. This is how umzila ukuhamba Mtuli is supposed to look like. What you are telling us that Mtuli and Gadla were part of that, if you are saying Gadla entered that house, that is not how the house is supposed. We are not supposed to have survivors. People were saying all of that on Twitter, on social media, everywhere. They were like, that was day one. Fine. Wabe busy esithi utata ucele. No, you guys don't understand. Now we have a watertight case and we have confessions also. Wabe busy ule rude esithi ba you know what? We even have we are even expecting more arrests of the mastermind. Who's the flipping mastermind? Okay. Hey, Ike son. Tell me why isn't those Avelas as shifters are for the West for the so-called watertight case? Things shifted, Kesana, because they thought they had a clean one. They thought they had a clean one. That's the problem that they were having. Then the scenario was so clean that people are going to believe, and people were like, Futsek and it's Chelly Logo. If they were putting roles, if suspect number 3 is the one that entered and suspect number 2, then suspect X did this and then suspect Y follows with this, etc. They had a plan, guys, but the data did not cooperate. The timeline did not align. The movements didn't behave. And iphone I choose number 3 was like aningitsheli lokho. Iphone I choose number 2 was like aningitsheli lokho. That time they were busy planting narratives, Kesan, if you ask me. Okay, so instead of accepting the reality, something else happened, Kesan. They started planting narratives in the Bongani Ntanzi's phone. That's what they did. Ne? They did all of that in 2020 now. And they were not planting evidence, Kesan. They were planting narratives. That's what they were planting there. Now, the phone of Ntanzi became the center of the lies. Ne? And Eka I choose number 3, who is supposedly the gunman, became the center of the truth. Ne? Also, Nekantanzi is the center of the truth, but Eka I choose number 3, we'll talk about it in another video, not now, maybe when it's his case. Ne? Because the phone is where the entire story collapses for I choose number 2. We are told that the phone was with I choose number 2 all along from June 16, 2020, when he was arrested, until March 2021, when he went to prison in Rustenburg. Do you hear this? We are told it proves the presence of I choose number 2. We are told it confirms the location, but the records tell a different story. They are like, ungangitsheli lokho, angizi, ungangijwayeli kabi, angizi, ungangifaki kwi-nonsense yento engingayazi. Zavela zatsho nje inantsika ifone ka-iChoose, i-records zefone ka-iChoose number 2. And then a story the state never wanted you to examine closely. That's what we dealt with now. So the other situation that they had a problem with is that geography does not lie. Now pay attention to this. You hear vague words like Pretoria thrown around there in that case, in that court by Advocate Baloyi, as if Pretoria is a single point on a map. It's just gonna be Pretoria, and then boom, everything happens there. No, it's not the case. It isn't a single point in the map. Pretoria, in this scenario, in my understanding, is an administrative label. You don't use it as a location. Hear me out why I'm saying that. For a phone cannot be in Pretoria. In any meaningful forensic sense, you need to say it was in Pretoria at this particular area of Pretoria. Now look at the places being quietly mixed together. There was University of Pretoria. There was Waterkloof in Pretoria. There was Pretoria West in Pretoria. Do you understand why I'm saying it's an administrative label into Pretoria? Do you understand? These are not the same places. They are not interchangeable, and they do not behave the same on a cellular network. Do you understand? Now we also have the tower myth that exposed everything now. Yes, 2 towers can overlap. Yes, 2G and 3G have wide cells. But here is what they can't explain. They can't explain this away. Time-based tower switching, multiple location shifts in a short interval, changing cell phone IDs on the same day, same page, same device. That is not a stationary phone. That is a movement, or worse, because they want us to believe Ntanzi was at a certain police station and all of these things were happening in a certain police station. The records are showing us something else. They are showing something else. There is a phone. They are showing us something that is even worse. That is a phone being handled, relocated, reintroduced into a narrative after the fact. It's not working out. And also the 205 problem. Let's look at that. And then comes the fatal wound in the state situation. The phone was not in the precinct of 205. Get that, ne? Please hear me again. The phone was not in the precinct of 205. If the phone was not there, then the story placing it there is a fiction. It is a fiction. There is no way that it's supposed to be in the police station. If the phone was not there, then the story placing it there is a fiction. And once that fiction collapses, everything built on top of it collapses with it. Now, why all of these situations are not making sense, ask yourself this: why remove all these places immediately? Why isolate communication? Sorry, why ensure no one else knows where the suspect truly is? All you're busy saying the Queenswood, the Queenswood. Because if anyone knew, the story couldn't be rewritten. If anyone knew which police station was done stationed at, you don't silence witnesses before the truth. You silence them after the plan fails. Now let's talk about the Pretoria slip, the detail they did not expect. One detail exposes the entire operation. The accused did not sleep where the state wants you to believe he did. He slept in Pretoria, not where the narrative places him, according to the phone. That single fact forces a question the state cannot answer. How does a phone magically tell a different story than the human carrying it? It doesn't, unless it wasn't with him. This, guys, it is not incompetence. Let us be clear. This is not confusion. This is not technical mistakes. This is not poor policing. This is retrofitted evidence. This is retrofitted evidence to suit the narrative. A phone story adjusted after the arrest. Tower data banned after the fact. Locations stretched until they blur into plausibility. That is what is happening here, and it's not nice. It's absolutely not nice. When the evidence moves more than the accused, when locations change faster than the testimony, when Pretoria becomes a magic word to hide precision, you are not watching justice. You are watching damage control, and damage control always leaves fingerprints. That's the sad part about it all. The case doesn't fail because of what we don't know. It fails because of what the state hoped you wouldn't notice as a South African. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. Do enjoy your day. Bye-bye.